What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Mike, and today's video is going to be on the week 1 preview and my favorite waiver wire targets. It seemed like the facecam video was very well received, and we're going to try and keep it going for the rest of the season. So before we jump in here, guys, I just want to go through a little bit of the intro and what I'm going to be talking about today. So I'm going through the week 1 preview, the schedule, some players to keep an eye on, especially some of those we drafted. I'm going to break down my top waiver wire forwards, top waiver wire defensemen, and my favorite goalie streamers. So I'm going to give you 5 players for each. I did have a comment on my last video saying I'm looking for the 1%ers, so you're going to see a couple of those guys in this video. Before we jump in, make sure you leave a like on the video. It helps us out tremendously, helps us get seen a little bit more, and overall benefits the fantasy hockey community. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you want access to all of our premium in-season tools, or just want to support the channel, head over to our Patreon. Without further ado, let's jump into the week 1 preview. So I just want to prepare you guys for week 1, getting your team set up, understanding what the off nights mean and how they affect your team, and kind of some things that I'm watching in the early going. So this is a 6-day fantasy week. Games start on Monday. Monday and Wednesday are the off nights this week, meaning that these are the best days to stream players. So on Thursday and Saturday, the lineups are pretty much going to be full for you guys. All your bench players are going to be playing. All the players in your lineup are going to be playing. So it's just not going to be viable to stream players. Most teams this week played 2 to 3 games. St. Louis is the only team that just plays 1 this week. So some of your St. Louis guys, they're going to have a shorter schedule this week, but it just means in the coming weeks, they're going to be playing 2-3 games more often. Some players that I'm watching in the early going here: Vincent Trocheck, Hughes, Braden Point. And the main reason for this is I just want to see how they're going to play Trocheck in New York. Is he going to get 18 minutes, 19 minutes? Where is he going to play on that top power play unit? With Hughes, another guy that we have we're really high on this season. So I want to see if he's shooting the puck a lot, how many minutes he's playing, his line matchups. These are really important things to keep in mind early on, especially some of these high risk guys that you drafted a little bit earlier than you thought. Braden Point too, he is coming off season surgery. He had that torn quad injury in that Toronto series. So I just want to make sure he's skating fine. He's playing good minutes. He's skating with Kucherov, and how that top power play is doing over in Tampa. Some defensemen I'm keeping an eye on early on here. Dougie Hamilton. He's a guy that we also love here at Fantasy Puck. We think he's going to have a pretty good bounce back season. We just want to make sure that shot volume is staying high. He's skating on the top power play unit, and he's playing at least 20 plus minutes. Kalen Addison, you guys know I love this guy. He's a very high risk guy because we don't really know his role in the team. I did see he's skating with the third pairing, so that is cause for concern. But that top power play unit is where we really like him. So let's keep an eye this week on Kalen Addison, how that power play 1's doing, and how many minutes he's playing. Brandon Montour, another guy I've been getting a couple questions on. I did mention he was playing on power play 1 in Florida. That's another thing we got to keep an eye on. Are they going to go with a 2 defenseman system there, or are they going to play 4 forwards and just have Ekblad as the power play 1 defenseman? So another thing to just keep an eye on, guys. I'm sure there's players, and definitely leave a comment on some guys you're watching in week 1. I can put Elias Pettersson here for sure. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to be looking for is just line deployments. So who's going to be playing in the top 6? If there's guys we didn't think were playing in the top 6 that now are, or even players we thought were in the top 6. For example, Rickard Rakell and Seth Jarvis. Maybe they find themselves playing on the third line later in games. So just a couple of things we want to keep our eye on, and we're going to be updating you as much as we can with these players, especially if you're in the Discord. But that's what I'm watching for week 1. That's the best way to prepare yourself. It is a little bit short of a week, and there's only a few games played this week. But it's definitely a week that you want to win, especially in those head-to-head weekly matchups. Jumping over now to the week 1 waiver wire ads. We have 5 players this week that I'm going to be streaming in 12-team leagues, 14-team leagues, and even 16-team leagues. So the first guy I have here, Jacob Voracek of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He has left wing and right wing eligibility. He's a guy that will probably be owned in your 12-team leagues. Maybe you can find him on the waiver wire, but 10-team leagues, he should be available at 37% ownership over on Yahoo. He has 3 games this week, October 12th, 14th, and 15th. He's playing in the top 6. He should spend time on that power play 1. He's going to be solid for more of assists and power play point upside. Not really much shot volume, not really much hit volume, and Voracek is not much of a goal scorer, but he is a guy you can stream this week with 3 games in hopes to give you a couple of assists and give you that edge over your opponent. The next guy here, Riley Smith. So this was shouted out by Wicked in the comments. He is skating on that first line with Eichel. I did hype up Kessel in my last video, and it's pretty much the same thing here with Riley Smith. So Vegas does have a very favorable schedule this week. They have 3 games, the 11th, 13th, and 15th. Riley Smith is right wing eligible, and I know that a lot of people have been talking about how right wing is a very scarce position, so this is an easy filler for this week. And Smith honestly could even become a long-term player on your team. So at just 12% ownership, he's likely available in 12-team leagues or more, especially in 14 to 16-team leagues. If this guy's available, you do want to stream him this week. Capo Caco, another guy that I think could be a long-term hold, especially in those deeper leagues. He's projected to skate on the Rangers' top line with Zibanejad and Kreider. Now, it seems like they love to shuffle that top 6, and maybe we have some Rangers fans in here that can speak to that a little bit. But, this is a guy that you're going to want to be watching. Is he going to play in that top 6? How are his minutes? How is his point production, his shot volume? But at just 6% ownership, he should be available in those deeper leagues, and he's definitely worth a waiver wire add in week 1. Igor Chinakov, okay, or Igor, I'm probably going to take some flack for that, but this guy's been lighting it up in the preseason, 6 goals. I'm not sure if anyone remembers back to that 2020 draft or 2019 draft, but when he was taken, no one really knew about him, especially some of the analysts. I remember them all scrambling like, I've never heard of this guy. And that's such a Columbus Blue Jackets GM type of thing to do. Like he really goes off the board. This guy's been lighting it up. He's a first round pick. He's very well known for his shot. He has like an extremely good and accurate shot. I don't think he's going to be on the top power play unit. I think he's going to be on PP2, but in the early looks, he is playing in that top 6 alongside Voracek and Roslovic. At just 2% ownership, he's definitely worth an add in 14-team leagues or more. Lastly, I wanted to add a center in here. Now, there weren't many good center streaming options, but Christian Dvorak here, he has a 3-game schedule, the 12th, 14th, and 15th. And at just 2% ownership, you can get a top 6 guy with power play 2 minutes, get you some face-off wins, some shots, some hits, and some point upside, just to basically fill those empty games that you're going to have in your roster on those off nights this week. Jumping over now to defensemen, we have 5 defensemen here that we like to stream this week. Alec Martinez of the Vegas Golden Knights. This guy was like 50 or 60% owned a couple of years ago. He had some of the best block volume in the league. He's at just 17% ownership, meaning he's probably available in 12-team leagues or more. He has 3 games this week. We love Vegas' schedule, so you're going to see them for the forwards, defenseman, and goaltender. October 11th, 13th, and 15th. 17% ownership, pretty low. He's playing on the first pairing over with Pietrangelo. He's going to play 20-plus minutes. He's going to really help with those peripheral numbers, especially if you're lacking in blocks this season. Martinez could be a long-term add as well, so we don't really know what to see out of him. He was injured for quite a bit of last season and the season prior, but if Martinez can get back to that form where he was blocking 3-4 shots a game, he could be worth a long-term hold on your team. Eric Chernak here. Tampa Bay also has a 3-game schedule this week, the 11th, 14th, and 15th. Chernak is a solid hit upside, shot upside guy. He's going to play 20-plus minutes. And, Tampa's a team I'm watching this year, especially their defense core. McDonough's gone now. He's a guy that would play 21 to 24 minutes depending on the special team deployment. So if they play a lot of 5-on-5 and penalty kill, McDonough had a lot of minutes. And I think the same thing's going to be for Chernak this season. So at 3% ownership, he's more of a deep league type of guy, 14 to 16 team leagues. And he's going to play on those off nights as well. So he's going to give you that peripheral volume, does have some points upside. I love Chernak this week, and he's probably not a guy I would look to hold long-term, but he could provide some solid value this week. Keandre Miller of the New York Rangers. So this is their beloved first pairing defenseman that isn't Adam Fox. 38% ownership, which was really, really surprising to me, to be honest. But in 10 to 12 team leagues, he's probably available on your waiver wire. The Rangers have 3 games this week, including a back-to-back. Keandre Miller is going to play 22-plus minutes a night. He has solid shot, block, upside, as well as some point upside. Now, they really like him over in New York, so I could see him having a pretty strong season this year. I definitely wasn't on him in preseason, but at 38% ownership, it seems like there's a lot of love for him. Again, my Rangers fans, let me know what you think about Keandre Miller. Moving on, Sean Durzi here of the LA Kings, one of my favorite sleepers going into this season. I think the one thing to watch for Durzi here is he going to play on that power play one? We do know Doughty has a history of injury, and that means Durzi will be the fill-in in that power play one when he does get hurt. But at 26% ownership, 10 to 12 team leagues, he's going to be available. They have a 3-game schedule this week, spread out 11th, 13th, and 15th. Durzi's there for your point upside, as well as the opportunity to really be on that power play one. If Doughty struggles early, Durzi could fill in, and you just added him for this week in a potential power play one defenseman. Finally, guys, the last defenseman on this list, Michael Matheson of the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal has a 3-game schedule this week as well, and Matheson seems to be their first pairing defenseman. Now, I don't think he's going to be power play one to start the year, but there is potential for him to make his way there. So Matheson does have some solid shot upside, especially in Pittsburgh, and he does possess some points upside. He's very similar to a guy like Gustav Forsling, a guy who is more of a top 4 defenseman and never really got the opportunity. But now Montreal, he's going to be playing 23 plus minutes. I can't really say 25, and that was the number that was in my head. But I think 23 plus minutes is definitely doable for Matheson, especially with Romanov gone. I don't know how good this Montreal team is going to be. So in those plus minus leagues, you definitely want to be a little bit more cautious with Matheson. But in leagues that don't have plus minus, Matheson's definitely worth the stream in 14 plus team leagues. And he could be a long-term add if he does get the power play one, and if Montreal starts to impress offensively at the early going this season. They did make some acquisitions, but I do still think they're going to struggle. Finally, guys, we're now on to the goalies. Most of these guys are going to be streamers. I wouldn't say these are players you want to add and hold, especially if they do have a good start. It's more indicative of their matchups this week or just back-to-back games. So Jake Allen of the Montreal Canadiens. I know I just bashed the Canadiens, but Allen is a pretty good goalie. They have a road matchup against Detroit. I don't know how good Detroit's going to be this season, but if it's anything like we saw last year, or if they're just a little bit better than we saw last year, it's still a favorable matchup for Allen. So I like Allen in 12-team leagues. He is owned a little bit more than most of the other goalies on here at 18%, but a road matchup against Detroit on the 14th seems like a good opportunity to stream him there. Kaapo Kähkönen of the San Jose Sharks, kind of a tongue twister there. He does have a home matchup against arguably the worst team in the league. Let me know if you guys think Chicago is worse than Arizona. But he has a home matchup against Chicago. I don't think Kähkönen's a very good goaltender. I don't think the San Jose team's very good, but it is a favorable home matchup. At just 10% ownership, Kähkönen's definitely worth the stream this week. Yaroslav Halak of the New York Rangers. I don't think Igor's going to start in the game against Winnipeg. They do play on the 13th against Minnesota, which is likely going to be the harder matchup. My Winnipeg fans, especially Beta Human, won't like that comment, but I think Yaroslav Halak's a great streaming option against Winnipeg on the road. This Rangers team is going to be really good this year, and they should be heavy favorites in this game. Adin Hill. Now, this is the only guy I would say could make your team in a long-term standpoint, but Vegas plays 3 games this week, 2 games against Chicago, 1 game against Chicago and 1 game against Seattle. I mean, these are 2 of arguably the 3 worst teams in the league. And Hill may actually be the starter, although we do think Logan Thompson's going to get the bulk of the share this year. 4% ownership over on Yahoo, meaning he will be available in the deeper leagues. This is a great time to stream him. I think Vegas is going to be massive favorites in these games, probably minus 200 or more. And yeah, just really good matchup for him this week. So lastly, Brian Elliott of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I just recorded this and I actually had the Columbus Blue Jackets logo there, and I didn't want you guys to comment on that, so I changed it. We have him on the right team now, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Arguably one of the better teams in the league this year. They have a road matchup against Columbus. I think Vasilevsky is going to get the more difficult start on the next night, meaning this could be the game for Elliott. So something to watch, guys, if he's starting, especially for all of these goalies. We're going to do our best over on our Twitter and Discord to shout this out for you guys. But at 3% ownership, Elliott seems like a great streamer option on the 14th. That will do it for our week 1 waiver wire targets video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.